but that's the sacrifice that they're willing to make.
Good evening, everybody. This is Craig and Matt from Fat Monkey. Tonight we are joined by Genna Banks from Leigh Miners. And basically we're going to try and delve deep. It's only going to be a short one, about 30-35-minute podcast tonight. But we're going to try and delve deep into why Leigh Miners' girls section is thriving and can other clubs kind of follow suit and get on board that way. Genna, quickly, as a bit of an introduction from yourself,
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what your role is right now at Leigh?
So currently right now, I'm the head coach of the under-18s, the newly formed under-18s girls and the under-16s. But myself and Celia have the role of looking after the whole girls section. So everything from under-11s right through to under-18s. Myself and Celia, we look after.
So have you got a team at every age level there, have you? Under 11s,
Yeah, so
12s?
so this year is the first year we've got individual age groups. So we've got girls teams from 11s, 12s, 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, under 18s. Past couple of years of most girls teams, we've had 2 year groups together. So we've gone like 12s, 14s, 16s. Yeah. And we've had it that way. But obviously as the numbers have grown, we've been able to give girls individual age groups this year.
Cool. How much have your numbers grown by then? For you to be able to put a team virtually at every age group. So where are you coming from and where are you at now?
So when we first started, we didn't have enough girls and we actually merged with Fatouif in one of the first seasons. So between us both, I think we managed to put together I think they'd have been under 12s at that point. We managed to scrape a team between us both. But as both teams now have developed, I'd say we're on over 150 girls now.
Wow.
Probably pushing towards 200. And that's, again, not including the women's team, just the underage group.
That's fantastic. You've got more girls there in the girls section than some clubs have in their entirety.
I think for us, we did it at the right time. So obviously it's great to see so many clubs now starting up, but obviously it's a lot more difficult then to get girls in. Whereas we started at the right time when things were relatively quite new in the girls' game. So it made it a little bit easier that there wasn't lots of competition at that point for teams. So just made it a little bit easier. So obviously then as we've gone forward, we're that little bit more established.
Sorry, just take us back to the start. Why Thatto? That's some stretch to have a team that's Wigan and is it St Helens Thatto?
Yeah. So there was
strange merger that's like bloods crossing the East Lancs.
Yeah, so they were at a point where like I said, there's not loads of teams around, so probably the nearest teams to us would have been Thatto.
Wow.
So for us then start to put a team together and nearly every game was over in Yorkshire as well at that point because Yorkshire seemed to have started a little bit before Lancashire with the girls' stuff. So we had to put together the teams together just so we could play some games, really.
Right.
Superb.
It's great, that.
Superb. 200 girls.
Cooperation between the two sides is class there, isn't it? Because I know we joke about it, but to have one team representing like Wigan and Saints, that's some trek to training, that, isn't it? I don't know where you trained, whether you trained at your place, because obviously at the time you wouldn't have had your wonderful facility at the 4G, would you? But that's some commitment for the girls to, in a new sport, in a new arena, to do that.
Well, the thing is as well, obviously the girls' game was quite new, and obviously the women's game was around, but it wasn't on the scale that it is now. So there wasn't this big, and I still don't see it that way. There's not crazy money to be made. No one's being paid $100,000 a year.
Not yet.
You've just got to do things for the right reason. Yeah, not yet. Yeah.
Not yet. It will get there, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So, recruiting wise, are you still asking for more players? You still want more? Have you got facilities to have more? Have you got the teams to fill slots?
So I think if we recruit anymore, we might have 2 teams at each age group, but that's fine by us. We've had 2 teams at 2 age groups before, but our under 11s seem to like triple each week. More and more little ones are joining in, which is wonderful. And even through to like the under 16s, we get girls that brand new in the last year of school starting rugby. We've had a couple in the under 18s as well this year, brand new to the game. So to be fair to the girls, they have a little bit more confidence in trying something that little bit later. Whereas obviously I can imagine it's a little bit intimidating going into the boys' game at them age groups. But the girls are not as bothered really, and they get stuck in.
So just thinking about that, under 11s. So my lad played with Maddie Vaughan, who's in your 15s, 14s, I'm guessing, 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah, she's through 14s, yeah.
So Maddie played with my lad up until the age of 12. And at 12, she had to leave because it becomes single sex.
Yeah.
But obviously you've gone for an 11 side there. So I'm guessing are they taking the league even younger now where girls can't play with boys? Is that why you've gone for
No, so our under 11s can still play with boys. So the under 11s are year 5 and year 6s. So I coach it an under 10s team as well, mixed team with boys and girls. So some of them girls in our year 5 who are year 5 kids, they can play in the girls under 11s too. And the under 11s is a good opportunity because it's not as much of a shell shock of going from like lads to girls. They can slowly integrate into the girls' games and make friends. So it's not too much of a shock to the system when they transition over.
Yeah, Craig, if you'd have seen Maddie play at the age of like 8 and 9 amongst lads, you knew she will make it. And I've not seen her for maybe 5 or 6 years, but obviously I speak to Phil Irish quite a bit, and obviously Phil coaches Maddie, and she is going to be some player. If she's still as good as she was back then, you can see even in the lads arena, she was head and shoulders above every one of the lads.
Yeah, she's a great player, Maddie, and she works really hard. And as long as she keeps doing that, I'm sure she'll go the right way. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, definitely.
So what's on the horizon then for Leigh Miners girls? Are we you've got? Did we mention there was a cup? What was we saying before, Matt, about a cup game?
I
was that last year's 14s? Was it?
14s got to the final last year. Dewsbury Moor seemed to have done you a couple of times last year at various number of age groups. I met the Dewsbury Moor lot at Introse Bridge a few weeks ago when I was down there. They were such a good group of lads as well.
Yeah, they're a great bunch. Yeah, they're really nice.
They seem to be setting the benchmark nationally, whereas you're with them almost all the way. Is that rivalry Lancashire Yorkshire one as well?
Yeah, listen, we think a lot of Steve Weston and the guys over at Dewsbury. They're a great bunch. Technically, we're the biggest club. We've fielded the most girls for the past 2 years, so I'll get that in there for the North West lot.
Absolutely.
But in terms of performance and some of the trophies wise, Dewsbury are always up and around there. So are Ulton. We know when we go to them games, you're in for a good game. But there's some of the best games and some of the most beneficial in terms of learning what our girls have when they play Ulton and Dewsbury and stuff. So obviously it changes each year depending on which kid you have, especially when girls used to change age groups when they're 2 years together. You can be hammered off Dewsbury 1 year and then the year after you're the top dog, depending on how your girls' teams work. But they're a really good bunch, Dewsbury, and they're great. Like, we've organised a friendly for the 18s this weekend because neither team have got a game, and they're always a good bunch.
Yeah. And I think that's something that I see from them, that I see in you as well, because they've got a lot of scholars, they've got a lot of Super League players that play both. Because up in the girls' game, Craig, I don't know if you know, you're allowed to play both, whereas scholarships at the lads' game, you're not supposed to play, or they can determine who can and can't play. So when I was speaking to a lot of the Dewsbury coaches there, they're going to do very similar to what you're saying in terms of all the age groups. And then they have a lot of the open age do play in like Leeds, Bradford area. For the Super League.
Yeah, so we've got, I think we're on 30 girls now involved in scholarship and pathways.
Wow.
So there's a good...
My note said 4.
No.
There's
30.
You didn't do very well at school, did you, lad?
No, I didn't.
There's a good chunk of... there's a good chunk at Wigan. We've got a couple at Saints. We've got a couple at Warrington. But yeah, we've got a mix
You've
of
got
girls.
7 on the DISE as well, haven't you?
Nice. We've had, I think, 7 or 8 from the.
Yeah.
We had 7 or 8 from the past 2 year groups are on it. So we've got about. So that's a good chunk. Saying the tech 30 girls. We had 7 last year, 7 the year before. I think 3 the year before that. So we always have a good representation on DICE.
I think if we have time at the end of this, Craig, we should explore that a little bit more, because I think that's the motivation for girls at 12, 13, 14. Now that pathway is clear via that. So yeah, I think that's really, really good.
Yeah.
So winter training wise, I've gone through some of your socials on the Rangers stuff, on the minor stuff, and you beat them, didn't you? You absolutely beat them. But every girl seems to have a smile on the face. Ainsdale Beach, wrestling.
Yeah.
There was no rest for them, was there?
No, so we do give our girls a break, so they have a break on the run up to Christmas.
Didn't look like
obviously
it.
that first week in January we go hard. So the older lot have been in with Tony at WN7, so we did lots of circuit training. He's a rugby coach too, so everything was always revolved around rugby. So we did a lot of work with the 18s, 16s, 15s. We had guys over here doing jiu-jitsu. We had Mike Roberts at Wigan and Leigh Wrestling doing with the 13s. So yeah, they've had a tough pre-season, and it's good to do something a little bit different and not just have a rugby ball in their hands all the time. It's good for them to do something else.
Yeah. Well, when you say rugby ball in their hands all the time, a lot of yours play union as well, don't they? So they don't get a break at all, because obviously at the team that my lad plays at, there's a lot of union crossover there as well. So the contact side of it is constant, isn't it? There's a lot of where the RFL are saying you can't do contact from November to February, whatever it is, whatever the gap is. But we've then got 8 or 9 of our lads that play union from November to February, so they're on it full stop, and I think you've got the same. Yeah,
we have a lot of girls that play both. We've currently got one girl in the under-18 Six Nations representing England who was through our pathway, but we've had girls at Lancashire, Sale C of E that have gone on through. A lot of them played at LSH and Eccles, and then they've gone on and played higher level.
Don't be shy about mentioning who that girl is that's in the 18s. You can say who it is.
That's my kid, yeah.
I know that's your kid. That's Ace. Yeah, don't be. We're all for blowing trumpets on this show, so don't. No, that's Ace.
No,
well, I'll tell you what.
That's why we're here,
that question. I said there's no low ballers, but I've got one question now. You just brought Grace up anyway. So Grace gets a phone call on Monday morning at 9:30, and it's the GB Rugby League coach saying she's been selected for the World Cup squad. She says, "All right, great." She puts the phone down. 10 o'clock. She then gets a phone call from the Rugby Union GB person saying you've been selected for the Union World Cup. Which does she pick? She can only go on one.
Who would she pick? It'd be hard for me to say, and it's her decision. And the tough bit for Grace at the minute is her heart would probably play Rugby League all day, every day, but her head might decide to go Union because of the opportunity to that be a full-time job. And and that's probably the sticky part of where she's at the minute, is working out where her heart and her head is. So yeah,
I've not just got that on you. I ask all the lads on our, because I run our page for our team as well. I ask all the Union lads if that exact question and all like that. Union. Oh right, okay, great. So no, that's
it's a difficult one, but she absolutely eats, sleeps and breathes rugby league. But in terms of girls with female sport, obviously everybody knows the opportunity if you get towards the Red Roses and stuff like that. So it's a difficult one for her.
So obviously, without making this all about Grace, looking at the pathway now, and she can see there is potentially a career in league because there are people or players that are starting to get paid. I'm guessing, what age did she start playing at? So
Grace was stereotypical for a group what we had. So we had a lot of them from a young age, group of, I would say they were in year 7. And we had a really tight, close group that we took all the way through. So we went from year 7 to what was under 16s, because there was no under 18s at the time. And yeah, they were a really tight group, but I would say they started playing properly at like year 7 age group. She played a little bit in primary school, but yeah.
So 11-year-old, she can't see a professional female rugby player. So she's doing it as fun, but now it becomes a little bit of a career potential. So surely that's only going to increase the numbers, because we've had this discussion a couple of times, me and Craig, about how you can only ever play for fun as a girl, or you can only ever play for fun as a girl because you still had to have a job, put a roof over your head, earn the money that you couldn't earn through rugby. Whereas now the potential is that you could follow in the footsteps of some of these players that are earning a living out of rugby league.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, and that is a great thing. But I think, like I would speak about the numbers at Miners, is we don't focus on that. Like the big thing of what we said to the like, as we emphasise as coaches, is we want the girls to fall in love with the game. So then when you break your arm, or there's boys get on the scene, or you want to go out on, you know, with your mates on the park and all that, they're already too invested. They're already too deep. So it was always about making girls fall in love. And listen, for me, you know, as well as like Grace and Berry and some of the other girls have done from our girls section, the girls that will go on to be the community team captain for 10 years, you know, that for us is just as important, because, you know, I had the best time in my life playing in that women's team, and I was rubbish, but like I was honestly, I never see it all. I thought, oh, how good is all that? But I'm like, I don't know why, but I think about it all because I wouldn't have been good enough for it anyway. But you know, I see all that, and no one feels sorry for us for playing in our team. We had the best time of our life, and that for me is just as important, that they have them experiences. So, you know, if they go on to have a paid career, wonderful. But if they go on to be a community team player for the next 15 years and enjoy the beers back from the trip from Barrow, you know, that's just as good too for us.
And do you know what? That's everything we're about at Fat Monkey. That we're not interested in the Super League game. That is us nailed to a T there. Community game above everything else. The community game produces the Super League, so let's not forget and let's champion what is going on a Saturday, Sunday morning on paddocks across the northwest.
And I touched on the popularity.
That's why we love all that.
Sorry, go on, Jenna, carry on.
No, I'm saying, and that's why we love all that, and that's why we like to talk about the girls' successes, because it ultimately brings players into us. You know, we've got a little girl that travels down from like Haysham Atoms to come and play for us at Miners, because there's no girls' teams as she's getting older. And, you know, and she says she wanted to come to us because she'd seen girls had gone through the full pathway, like, and had gone on to play Super League, because obviously that's what she wants to try and do. So that is a big attraction for us as a girls section, that we have girls that go on and bang the Leigh Miners drum.
That's kind of fell into my next question that I was going to ask then about popularity, and why is it that Leigh is got so many girls teams and they're thriving so well? Obviously, you just mentioned somebody coming down from Asian because they've seen the girls doing so well. What else are you doing in the background? What else are you pushing? What else are you promoting?
So again, a big thing we talk about is good people over good players. So we set standards for the girls, there's expectations, and this starts really early on. So like, they don't talk when I'm talking, I don't talk when they're talking. You know, we build that mutual respect, timekeeping, communication, all them type of stuff. Kids like boundaries, and they like knowing that they're keeping to what's expected. And obviously we do the same as coaches. So I think that creates a really trusting environment. I think the fact we started off the section, so Mina was a female who started off the girls, and me and Celia obviously took the reins of the girls, but there was also two other female coaches. So there was me, Celia, Mairead Quinn, who's the Leopards captain currently, and Kelly Morris, who plays at Leigh Leopards. So the four coaches were four players from the female team at the club, and I think that was really important. And it's not to say there's not wonderful male coaches in the girls' game, there's loads, but for a girl to be coached by a female that she can go and watch on the Sunday afternoon with the rest of the team was really special. And I think that was something that really helped us as a club. And I think people just see, you know, how much fun our girls have. Like, people look at it and they look at results and they always think like we've been battered loads. I remember taking our group to Leeds and we didn't touch ball in 40 minutes and lost like 70-0 against East Leeds. We got absolutely peppered. But it was never about winning for us. It was always about having fun. And like, if they came off happy, we were happy. We were never bothered. And I think the fact that ethos has stayed there, even when we have won games, what we've been about has stayed really true to us, which sounds a bit corny, but that was what's really special, I think, at Miners. And we've never really negotiated on that. We've always done what was right and not what's easy. And yeah, it was. I think the values of what we have at our club is what's made it special.
I must agree with that because, like I say, I've been down to watch Miners because of I know Phil very well at 14, and the humility that they show. They are a very, very good side. And I know you just said you got whipped at Leeds. You do tend to win more than you lose, and you do tend to win by large margins when you do win. But the girls are so humble with that. There's no mickey taking, there's no arrogance, there's nothing about that. The humility of those girls is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, like you say, those values just stretch all the way through the club.
Yeah, and you know it's rugby. You can win 70-0 one day, but then next day you get your arse handed to you and you lose 70-0. So I'm always like, if you're giving it big and you've got to be ready for it, come back at you. So it's better not to say anything. So then if you win, great. If you lose, you've not set yourself up for a bit of a fall. So let the rugby do the talking. So yeah.
So do you play over at the Rangers bit with the
so the
pitch?
Yeah, so the younger age groups, 11s to 16s, play over at Sutton Park, which is the academy, and then the under 18s play over at Twist Lane, where the senior section is. So we've got a mix across both, but obviously 18s need to be over at the senior section, so they're in and around the women's team as they start to transition to open age.
Why Leigh Miners? And I mean, men and women, do you play on grass at open age rather than the facility that's 4G? Is there a reason? And I mean, from an RFL point of view, because you can get games called off, can't you, at Twist Lane with flooding like we're having the weather at the minute, whereas at yours?
We do have, there is times when they use it, but it just depends on how many people are in, and obviously there's the junior section, higher the pitch out, so it just depends on when and as we need it, but we couldn't all be, we're too big, that sounds real big-headed, but we're too big as two clubs to be based at one site, I think, so yeah, it's a good job, really. We've probably got the two places. We probably could do with another one, if I'm honest. Another club for a stretch out to, but yeah, no, I think it just works well at the minute.
What have you got up and coming, ready for the season? What have you got? Sorry, you said you would 16s and 18s?
Yeah, so I look after the 16s and 18s. So the 16s have got Greetland at home this weekend, and the 18s have got a friendly away at Dewsbury. But yeah, there's a few games across the board. I think there's a couple having a break this weekend. Oh no, the rest are away this weekend. It was last weekend with it being Easter that most didn't have a game. But yeah, it's pretty full on. 14s and 16s have got cup games coming up too. And then hopefully we'll have some girls represent North West in the hubs again this year.
14s.
Have them thrown in as well.
Do you know any of the girls in the 14s? I'm pretty sure my assistant coach at Patsy's daughter is in the summer. Summer Walsh, it'd be. He came from St Cuthbert and came up to Leigh Miners. And she's actually loving it. Completely different setup, you know what I mean? It's fantastic. A lot more. The feedback I always get from people about Leigh Miners is you're a little bit more professional than everybody else. Which she's speaking to as well tonight. That comes across well. A bit more.
When you got Super League players,
we're not the fun police. Yeah, we're not the fun police. Listen, we have loads of fun. We do have loads and loads of fun with them all. Like on training on Monday, we finished off with a big game of kick rounders with 18s, 16s, and 15s. Like we have loads of fun. But like I said, we do try and run things properly because we want the girls to have the best. We want the girls to have a great opportunity, and you know, for me as well, like if we run it properly and the girls learn something, whether they go on to play rugby or not, they've learned skills that'll suit them well when they go into work or go to college and university, and again, that's stuff that's still dead important to us. So yeah, we might come across a little bit professional. We're not trying to be, we're just trying to give the girls the best.
If you look at what Jamie does or James Maguire does, James Maguire is part of Pats and he's at Warrington, he's on their scholarship. He brings a different edge of that professionalism that you're talking about there, Craig. And I think if you've got 4 or 5 girls, 30 girls on some kind of pathway, naturally that's going to happen because it won't be tolerated on any kind of pathway or scholarship. So therefore, they bring that mentality to training. And like Genna said, all the way through, their standards aren't slipping for any person. The standards are the same from number 1 to number 13 or 17, whatever. So it wouldn't be tolerated by the players. And I think that as a group, the group is stronger than any coach or individual on the sidelines. And if that group don't tolerate bad behaviour or lack of effort, then that's where it all comes from.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, everyone knows that the biggest influence is your peers. So it says far more to girls if one of the teammates says to them like, "Hey, you're not pulling your weight" or whatever, more than I ever will. And they do that, and that's what's, you know, we enable them to do it. We just want them to do obviously the right way. I don't want them effing and jeffing and calling someone for dropping a ball, but it's knowing when to say something and you know, holding each other, and holding each other accountable. Like we have a phrase of like owning your shit. So if you make the mistake, it's like my bad, sorry, you know, and you crack on. And you know, and the girls fully adhere to that. They really take ownership on that. But yeah, they're a good group and they work really hard. They all do. It's good.
Good. That's what we want. That's what you want at that age, isn't it?
Of course it is.
Yeah,
of course
definitely.
it is. And they'll stick together. The problem they'll have is going out on nights out together. They'll end up in all kinds of bother because you pick on one in all in, isn't it? It's one in all in, and in a nightclub in the middle of Leigh, oh my God, you can just see it.
They all
tables,
said it,
chairs going.
The group I took all the way through, they had one fight, genuinely one fight in the 6 seasons I had them. This is God's honest truth, one fight. And it was like, I were a bit embarrassed. I was like, at least if you're going to start a fight, you at least hold your own in it a little bit. Like, our Grace Stewart punch ran off. One of the other girls got a burst nose and just cried. Like, they were horrendous. And I was like, I hope they never cause a fight ever again. So there won't be one in all in an our lot, our older lot, because they've been rubbish. They're definitely better players than they are fighters, but it's a good job. But yeah, no, they would definitely stick up for each other though, and they still do to this day. Like, even though a lot of them are playing at different, you know, like Berry's at Saints, Gracie's at Wigan, Olivia's at Warrington, but Grace will still go and watch Olivia. Olivia will still message Grace and stuff like that. So yeah, they always have each other's back, which is lovely.
Now, you've just mentioned that obviously you took the team all the way through 6 seasons. So is that team now gone? That's not your 8 teams now, is it?
No, they would be the technically second year 18. So they'd be like, I always dream of how good this team would be if I could have kept them all together.
Right.
But the older lot, there weren't an 18s for them. So a lot of them gone into the community team. A lot of them have gone off into Super League teams as well. So there's, I think, 3 or 4 in Super League. Oh no, I've got more than that. There's 5 at Wigan, 1 at Warrington, 1 at Saints, 2 at Saints. No, there's quite a few. I've lost count. But yeah,
is there a reason you didn't start again? I mean, I do know a lot of coaches that started, let's say. So I started at clubs and newbies, and now I'm with under 8s, and I'll see them through. Both my boys play in that team, and I'm hoping that once I've done the lap, I would like to do it again. Is there any reason that you just stayed with the 16s and 18s and didn't go right down again?
Because the girls were in 2 age groups, so there was the true under 15s and 16s in the 16s team. I stayed and had them 15s too, and then obviously inherited another lot as they came in. I think my skill set, I am better suited to the older age groups. Celia loves being with the younger age groups, so we've tried to make sure I stayed like with the older lot, she was with the younger lot, but I won't be against going back round, absolutely not.
So just thinking about that, because we have a big issue in the lads game with retention. So 16 to 18, 18 to open age, they drop off, be it girls, be it work, be it whatever. Yeah. But from what you're saying, it looks like the retention in the girls game is not. No.
Honestly, I say this all the time. People say, like, what do you do about drop-off? I'm like, what drop-off? I'm like, they just multiply. Like, we joke at our place going, tell your friends it's rubbish. Don't bring anyone else down. Like, laughing about it. Obviously, we're not being serious, but we're like, stop bringing your friends. I was like, too many. But no, listen, you do get some, and there's a couple of girls that don't play anymore. But I would say as a whole, there's still a high percentage of the girls still involved in the game. And some take a break, come back. But yeah, ultimately, we've not had a massive drop off.
So your community side, I'm guessing, will go to 2 teams, A and B, will it? Or have you already got that?
No, we don't, because obviously we had 2 teams, but one went over to Leigh Leopards and became the Super League team there, because we had a Super League team at Miners for a season.
Right.
Then they went to Leigh, and that was the right thing, because facilities, the coaching, everything, it was what we needed to take that team to the next level. And then we now have Leigh Miners ladies. So currently we've got the one team, but I imagine as the numbers keep pumping through, we'll probably be on about 4 or 5 in about 10 years. If all them girls.
So is that why Leigh East don't have a women's side, because Leigh Leopards have got it? Or do they have a women's side?
On this channel? Don't mention Leigh East. They don't like them.
The swear word that here, you know.
I'm on here.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. Our Grace is in camp in Wales. Our Grace sounds dead wicked that. And there was a kid at North Wales Crusaders were playing, and there was a kid there, and a Leigh East kid, and she said they were about 7, right? And she's training with England Rugby Union, and she's going to him, Miners, over the fence. I'm like, Grace, you're 18 and you're shouting at a kid. You're like, you were giving it me back. Like, and I was like, oh my. So that is a deep-rooted, forever, ever rivalry. And listen, it's the best. I really wish the girls section had took off, because it was the best games I used to look forward to. Bragging rights in school, all the rest of it. They absolutely loved playing Leigh. So I really do hope one day they do have a girls section there again. But they've not had one for a few years.
I've got a similar story like that myself, right? So our rivals down at our club is Bridge. Patton Bridge is a massive event. No matter what age group, girls, boys, it doesn't matter. It's a massive, massive thing. And we were at training about 2 weeks ago. We're just going through the gate. Now, Bridge always said to us, St. Pat's are dirty rats. That's what
St. Pat's dirty rats,
that's what they shouted at us. And as I'm opening the gate, I saw this car come past. And I did a double take. I thought, I know who they are. And the dad did a lap of the car park and came back. Wound all the windows down just so his kids could shout out the window as he came past. Shouting St. Pat's are dirty rats, and then sped off up the street.
Oh, there's nothing better than that, though. It's the best.
Yeah. Well, you say that, but
I love that.
My lad plays under Jonah. So Jonah Taylor he played at Rosebridge 18s. And our kids at 15 are stupid. They're really, really stupid. So he played at Bridge, and they went to watch him. He was playing a game. And because obviously it was Patson Bridge, they booed him all game. Literally, this is their head coach, and they're booing him every time he's got the ball. Let me tell you, Tuesday's training session wasn't fun, as he absolutely beasted them. But that Bridge Pats rivalry I was like, why are you being so happy?
Yeah. And and everyone always says that, but I'm like, I'd love Leigh East to have a girls section. I would, because how the boys have all that at our club. I'd love for the girls to have it as well. It is a special. It's dead good fun. It's dead good rivalry.
Special.
I mentioned it, didn't I, the other week because I'm a massive fan of floodlight games. I'm all for cancelling Sundays, some Sundays, and playing under lights on a Wednesday night. And I said, and I brought Leigh East and Leigh Miners up as my prime example. If you could get that on a Wednesday night at either your place or theirs, where nobody else has got games, the sidelines would be packed. It'd be bouncing. It'd be the best atmosphere, because on a Sunday, obviously, everyone else has got other games, so you can't commit to watching other teams and this, that, and the other. But on a Wednesday night, you'd imagine you'd have all the open age down one side, Miners on one side, East on the other. You had 15s, 14s, 12s, whoever on each side. It'd be the best environment to play in.
Oh, it is, and that's what's great. So like when on the odd games where they meet each other, there's like kids lining outside at pitches, like poor wingers must get absolutely hammered as they're going up and down sides. Like, but they're the best, and I like I said, I do hope they get a girls section one day. It'd be great if they did.
It'd be really well to try and put off some young kids on the sideline, wouldn't it, Craig?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Especially when they're our own.
Look, Genna, listen. thank you very much for.
No, hold on. I've got one more question.
Have you got
first.
one more? Sorry.
Have you got time, Genna? Have you still got time?
Yeah, no, I'm absolutely fine. I've got plenty of time. Yeah.
Oh,
Tell us how the Wanderers came about.
So they got in touch with the RFL, and the RFL put it out to clubs who would want to play. It was quite funny, really. It was like, who's got who can have an all-weather pitch with lighting? I'm like, why don't you just email us directly and say, will you play at Wanderers? I was like, stop hinting. So we obviously replied, we'd love to have played, like we wanted to play them. It was honestly such a good night. All the girls were like loads of ours got dead brand new training kit for Christmas, and they were swapping it, giving them the t-shirts. I'm like, your mum is
really
brand new O'Neill's kit there, swapping for this like cheap little travel top they had, and I was like, your mum's gonna absolutely kill you. But they all loved it. Like, I've still got a kangaroo key ring on my keys. Like, all the parents brought the like key rings over and were swapping them. But it were great. They were like, obviously, they were next level. They were brilliant, the players. But our girls held their own, especially not been back.
Did they just come over to play rugby?
Yeah, they just come over on a tour. Yeah.
Right.
So I think they're like a sports company that arrange sports tours for people. So they're not a team. So they get kids from all over the country who play rugby, put them together, and off you go on this trip.
Wow. So you got beat by a team that were just put together?
Yeah, and apparently none of them are on a scholarship or out either. So I was like, how good's everyone else? I was like, because these are well good. And they were brilliant. And listen, and that's what we hope for our girls as the game keeps growing, that our girls are playing from a younger age. Is that obviously we can't compete with the weather or the amount of touch that they play, but our girls will start playing younger, and we'll start to bridge that gap. Which, I think people like Stu Barrow and that with the England team are doing loads of really good work. So I think that gap will get closer and closer over the next few years.
And Carnegie's now up and running properly, isn't it? So Carnegie is a great venue that they're based over. So, and the World Cup obviously did do a lot for the women's game. I'm absolutely certain of that. But yeah, that gap is big, isn't it? But they've been being paid for a number of years now, haven't they, the Aussies?
Yeah, and obviously the same difference in the men's game. Like, NRL is just a different level, and it's the same with the women's. It's just a different level. But we're hoping, obviously, as the women's game grows and the opportunities that are coming up for the girls, it'll make a big difference to that gap.
So obviously Craig went over to Chorley a few weeks ago, and obviously we're massive into the girls' game over here. We big it up all the time because we think no club will survive without a girls' game. Like you're saying, 150 players at Miners. So any club that doesn't have a girls' section is really struggling. But Craig met with their chairman or standing chairman or whatever you call it, and he was saying about how interim chair. He didn't have a girls section, and obviously Craig was a little bit, why not? Because Chorley is quite a niche area because you've got quite a big club. It's not like Leigh Miners League is fighting for players. Chorley's a bit out there on its own. Had a bit of a chat and came away. But anyway, was it last week or the week before when we got a message to say please be
started a girls team?
Started a girls team. So I think Craig's taking a bit of credit for the Fat Monkey, and then obviously with starting it as well.
And in the meantime, I've become the assistant coach of our under-16 girls as well. That's
Oh, so,
yeah.
Oh, I've got we don't play you. I don't think.
No, I think you play our 18s, don't you? But I don't think.
18s do. But I think a Pat 16s in development Northwest.
We're in with Queensbury.
Yeah, I think we're our 16s are in Prem, so we're with Alt Yorkshire lot, I think. So.
Oh yeah, well our 18s are in that Alt Yorkshire. They were all kicking off and complaining, saying we got to go up to Yorkshire nearly every game.
Yeah, we were at Hull. Last 18s game, we had Hull.
Wow. And what's that? Is that on a Saturday morning as well? Like
Saturday mornings, yeah. Kick off around lunchtime for them, so it's not too bad.
That's wounding. We're bothered because we're going up to Walney Island at this year. So that's like top end of Barrow, isn't it? And we're moaning about that. Not moaning, but we as parents, we're going to have a great trip out because we're going to coach with beer. But the players they're going to have to suffer a 2-hour
we're used to it though, like I said, because we had to travel to have games. Otherwise, we didn't play anything because obviously most of the teams when we first started were in Yorkshire. So we're used to it. Like Celia will not bat an eyelid to travel with under 12s to Alton for a 40-minute game. She'd just do it. It's just what we're used to now.
Yeah.
And is that parental commitment, i.e. cars, or do you put coaches on? Do you have a minibus, or how do you work that?
So the Hull one, we took the 18s on a bus, but everything else, so like over to Yorkshire, parents, it's all over to them really. We try and obviously car share, and people will pick other people's kids up if we need to. Our parents are really, all of them are wonderful in terms of that. That they drive to end at World for take the girls for a game. Our parents, they're dead supportive, so we're lucky with
That's what you need. We've always mentioned before that sometimes parents can make or break a team. If you've got them certain parents who, dare I say it, are not on board with everybody else, sometimes it can cause problems and hassles. But having a good set of parents is always a real positive.
And we've been dead lucky. And listen, we're not saying what we do suits everybody. It might not do, but that's why there's loads of other clubs for people go and find something that works for them, and that's okay too. But we've been lucky that the parents that stayed and the kids that stayed, they've bought into it, and you know they all made friends out of it too. So we've got parents that still meet up even though the girls don't play together anymore and things like that. So we've been dead lucky that the parents have bought into what we do.
I do think, because obviously we're running a competition that ends tomorrow. Obviously this podcast won't go out, but we're running a competition for community champion. So we want people to nominate who the community champions are. And I'm surprised there's only 2 grandparents on the list of nominations, because for me, it is the parents. Yeah, the coaches, the team managers, all of them kind of people put all the effort in. But I think sometimes you do forget how much the parents put in. And I think if you've got a strong parental network and cohort, that works for your team as well. Because I'm not suggesting for 1 minute that all the parents should get drunk after a Sunday game on the in the lounge. But it certainly helps. I know you do, but it certainly helps the lads because they stay along for another 10 hours, like a couple of hours, 10 of them, 12 of them after the game, just messing about on where they're having that team bonding. And I did think more parents would have been nominated in that, but it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah, we've been dead lucky. We're really lucky. Like one of the mums just first aid for us. Like one will take the kit, and you can imagine stay to that kit sometime. But they're always dead helpful. They'll they'll pick other people's kids up. They'll help out with stuff that they are really good. We've loads of very good parents and families and grandparents. They're all really helpful.
Fab. So again, I think obviously you're dead humble, and everything you've said throughout that is we've got this way and it works for us. But you are the shining light for the women's game, we say in the community, without a shadow of a doubt. And I'm not saying that you bang your own drum, but what advice could you give to clubs that are looking at setting up these 12s, 14, 16? You've been there, you've done. I'm not trying to blow smoke up your backside. That's not what I'm trying to do. And I'm not saying that you're going to patronise other clubs by saying what you're going to say. But I'm sure these clubs who will just be parents who want the best for their kids. What advice can you give them in terms of that? What?
So, the thing is with setting a girls section up, you're not asking for anything special. You just want the same thing as you've done with the boys. That's it. So they're not asking like for a pink kit. They're not asking for a different name. They just want to be treated the same. And we were so lucky, like the committee in both sections, the senior section and the junior section, bought into what, and they believed in it too. And I think if your club shows that and shows the same commitment as they do, and this is not asking for special treatment, it's just asking for the same. If you show that same commitment and you show you're willing to put in the work, you're willing to invest, like Dave Rowlands, our first team coach, would be stood watching my girls play before his game, and stuff like that where it makes you feel valued and a part of something. That's all girls want to do, is feel a part of something. If you make that girls section that they're over here on their own and not part of the club, it's just the girls over there, that's when it won't work. If they feel valued and a part of something, like you walk around Leigh, you'll see a million girls in a Miners hoodie, and they're dead proud of that, and that's because they feel part of something special. And that's because of how the clubs both clubs have approached, both the senior section and the junior section. So their approach to it has made them girls feel they have an equal part in that club. And that, forget your session plans, forget, you could have the best recruitment drive. If a girl rocks up and you're on the rubbish pitch and you have the rubbish times and you're shoved away in the corner, that's the stuff what makes the difference. Like, if they get, if the girls, right, the lads will train, say, Tuesday, but like at our place, every team on the pitch near enough on a Thursday is the girls. So Thursday's girls' nights. The lads can have any other night, but Thursday's for the girls. So, as long as they can see they get that equal share, and that's all they're asking for, and they're treated and valued the same, your girls' section will fly. It don't matter about your session plans or anything like that. It's just about the value you put into it.
That has to be a massive takeaway for any of these
good
clubs.
Answer. Very good answer. That was.
Exactly. Forget the rugby. It's about the values, and that you can't get away from that, can you? That's incredible.
Well said, though.
And and they keep it forever. Like Grace goes back to Miners, and she loves it. Like, if you speak to her about it, she would cry because she misses it. It's the right thing. She's obviously playing at Wigan. I would never say she should be playing at Miners, but I'm just using her as the example. She goes there and she still feels at home. It's still special to her. It's where she's grew up. Like, Grace, as much as Grace has played there from being 11, she was in and around the women's team, sat in dugout while I played from age of 6. So she's been in and around that women's game, seeing this and how special it is from such a young age that, I want all the girls to be able to go and meet and have a pint at the club regardless of where they play. They know that's always be theirs. So, if it doesn't work, if Grace takes a massive dip in form, and she always knows they can come back. And we say that to every girl: go and try it, go and play wherever you want. Go to Warrington, go to Saints, go to Wigan, go to Leeds, go wherever it is you want to go and play rugby union. Don't play it all, but if you ever change your mind, you can come home. And that's
yeah. And do you know what? That is the phrase that you've just said there. You can always come home. Yeah. It's home. Yeah. That's just rolled off your tongue. That's not prep. That is just people, Miners girls feel Miners is their home. And that's incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and it is theirs, and so that's what we want them to feel. It's not mine, it's not Celia's, it's not the club's, it's theirs. So that's what we want them to know. It's be responsible for it, enjoy it, and come back when you want us, when you need us.
That's incredible.
Is that I think that's everything on my list that he's covering.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we do have to try and tap Genna up to get Grace on with a couple of the players that are going through the scholarship at some stage as well, to give them a bit of airtime and see if they'd be willing to come on and from their viewpoint.
Yeah, we can get, especially if you want like their experiences at Miners or what they're going through now, I can get you a couple of them, no problem. So there's obviously Grace, who's in and out of Rugby League and Rugby Union. There's, say, like Olivia Webb, who's in the Warrington squad, and she's obviously now like trying to push into like getting to playing. So we've got girls across all aspects, and Berry's another one. So Grace and Berry are our first girls section graduates on nights. So we've got players, so like Rachel Thompson's a Miners kid, but she only started at 16. She weren't our girls section. She came through the ladies. Whereas Grace and Berry are like first generation type of age group from the girls section.
Yeah.
So we're hoping, obviously, we'll end up with an England player at some point. But like I said,
I think it's almost cast in stone, isn't it? I think there's no doubt you'll definitely get one. I think you really will. I think the blueprint you've got is amazing.
It is.
And that's the other thing. So like speaking about Maddie and all the rest of it, and Grace, we just made sure they were happy because everything else would happen. Like, and if they were set for that stardom, as long as we kept pushing them and playing the right games, even them hard games, like I said, we knew that some of them would get there if they really wanted to. But you've just got to make sure they're happy as well. Like, as long as they're happy, then everything else is dead easy, I think.
Yeah, it just falls.
You can learn drills off YouTube. It doesn't make, do you know what I mean? You just have to have the right environment. But yeah, I can get Grace.
I'm always one for a good quote, Craig. Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, go on YouTube.
Like, go on YouTube. Even better.
You what?
I said, or if you've got both, even better.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's the elite.
And that's where we've been lucky. Like some of our girls are that. With like Maddie Vaughan, Berry. There's a girl in our 18s, and she'll push on to England. Genna Fuberster. There's some really special players in it.
Good.
So it's exciting. But yeah, if you let me know who you want, I'll get a group of them.
Absolutely, that'd be ace. We just want to shine the light and show there is a pathway for the 12s, the 11s, the next generation, not the next generation, because we're only 4 or 5 years behind. But what I mean is people who've been through it and can see that there is all the efforts, all the hard works, all the bumps and knocks, the twists, the turns, the sore eyes, the sore legs, whatever. There's a way. There's a way, and
that's it. And they've got representation now. So Grace didn't have really anyone to see on telly or on Twitter or Instagram or whatever it is kids are on. Whereas they can go on now and see all these. So like, there's a girl at St. Pat's actually. Can't remember what age group. I think she's under 8s, and she's got Grace's name on back of her Wigan shirt.
Wow.
I cried my eyes out when I see it.
Right, so Grace is one of mine.
Is it?
Grace is one of mine, under 8s, yeah. Grace.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's one of mine. Yeah. Well,
There's a little girl. She might be 7s actually. I can't remember. 7s or 8s. She's dead young, but she's got. But that's what I mean. Was girls had never had that years ago.
Oh.
Yeah.
So when we speak to, especially like I speak to our Grace a lot about having that response, like you hold some responsibility now. Like there's an expectation from you on behaviour, how you conduct yourself.
Yeah, of course.
Like, and she, don't get me wrong, like I give her an hard time, but she's very good, like with younger lot. So you can get her down. I'll get her down for your under 8s and what have you. I always rope her into it.
Deal.
I sent her down. I sent James's last year. Go on, get down there and go and say hello to little girls. Be nice. Off you go.
Be nice.
She is, but she's just a bit awkward. She doesn't. She has a bit of an imposter syndrome because she just thinks she's just a little girl playing rugby. Like, but I'm like, you're an 18-year-old playing in the league. I'm like, yeah, and that's the thing. So she's like, she's a bit like, why do I need go? Like, send Rachel or Vicky Moll, but I'm like, because you're a kid who's doing it, go. Like,
absolutely.
But I can get some of them on, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
It's a deal.
We've got Armani lined up, haven't we? Who's head coach at Warrington. But we want players as well. We want players to come on here and show young kids or explain what it takes. And those commitments and those values that you've talked about there, the sacrifices they make and all that kind of stuff. I think it's valuable to the kids to learn.
Yeah, and they do we always say for them to go to not just being a good player, but to be the best player, you've got to be obsessed. It's not about just loving it. You've got to, like, our Grace has probably been out 4 or 5 times, like out drinking, because she can't do it time-wise and stuff like that. So you've got to be willing to sacrifice all that. Then, she sits in every Saturday night because she's a game on a Sunday when all the mates are out around Wigan, and you do lose friends, your friendship groups change, but that's the sacrifice that they're willing to make to get to that level. To try and get it. So, but yeah, I can get a few of them on. I can get the ones on different pathways and stuff. So yeah,
that's what we'll do. We'll organise that in the very near future. Listen, we're going to let you go. It's getting.
Hey, I know I'm going watching. I'm get rest of Wigan and Leigh now.
I know, yeah. But I can actually hear people shouting. I can hear my own lads shouting in the next room, shouting, yes. We're Wigan fans.
My husband's a Leither and I'm a Wiganer.
Oh.
So I was like, don't you put that on till I finish this.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Genna, it's been very, very nice speaking to you.
That's been nice.
No problem at all. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'll be in touch and we'll get another interview going with the girls.
Yeah, that's fine. Brilliant. No problem. Thank you, guys.
No problem.
Thank you.
See you. All the best. Bye.
All right. Everything. Take care. See you later. Bye-bye.